Are you feeling constantly stressed, exhausted, and burnt out despite eating a super clean diet and exercising regularly? If so, chances are mineral imbalances are to blame because when mineral imbalances are out of whack, your body can't function at its best. And without minerals, your body doesn't have the necessary resources for hormone production, adrenal health, thyroid health, detoxification, digestion, and pretty much every other system in your body. As a result, your body has to overcompensate by utilizing other nutrients in order to function, which increases your stress levels and pushes your body into total burnout. The way that I help my clients end this cycle is with hair tissue mineral analysis testing. Hair tissue mineral analysis, or HTMA, is one of the most insightful tests to understand what deficiencies are causing your metabolism to be dysregulated. And today I'm going to show you why. If you're new here, I'm Tara. I'm a functional nutrition practitioner, and I help women overcome their chronic gut and hormone symptoms with a holistic root cause approach. So if you're into that sort of thing, be sure to subscribe and follow along to learn more. So, what is an HTMA test? HTMA, like I mentioned, stands for hair tissue mineral analysis. And just like the name implies, it analyzes a small sample of hair taken close to the scalp, usually from the back of your head, to measure your mineral levels, mineral ratios, and heavy metal exposure with scientific precision and accuracy. One of the reasons why I love HTMA testing is because it's easy, non invasive, and incredibly cost effective, especially when you consider how much data it gives you about what's really happening at the cellular level of your metabolism. Unlike blood levels, which changes based on your daily requirements, hair tissue results from an HTMA test reflects your average mineral status over the past 3 months. That makes it an ideal way to assess deeper trends in your metabolism, stress response, and nutrient reserves. So, why hair? Hair acts like a snapshot of your internal chemistry over time. So, as it grows, it's exposed to blood, lymph, and extracellular fluids. Then it hardens, preserving that metabolic data. This means that it gives us a more permanent and long term picture of how your metabolism is operating. So, why do we look at minerals? Minerals are essentially the spark plugs of the body. They're involved in nearly every metabolic process, including energy production, hormone regulation, enzyme activity, detoxification, mood, digestion, literally everything, making them crucial for energy production, growth, and regeneration in the body. And while the body can produce certain vitamins on its own, your body cannot make its own minerals. That means you have to get them from your diet, your water, and your environment. But the problem is that modern stress, soil depletion, gut issues, environmental toxicity, poor dietary habits, and even certain medications can easily deplete your mineral stores, even if you're eating a clean diet. Minerals play a crucial role in your nutrient status because even your ability to use vitamins and enzymes properly depends on having the right mineral balance. Minerals also help regulate your nervous system. So if you are feeling chronically stressed or under a lot of stress, chances are your minerals are out of whack and paying the price. And when your minerals are off, your whole system is off. That's why I never neglect minerals when supporting my clients. So, what does an HTMA test actually show us? Depending on the lab, an HTMA looks at about 15 to 17 nutrient minerals and up to 16 heavy metals. The most important minerals that we always prioritize first are what are known as the macro minerals. So these are also known as the big four, which include calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. These four minerals are the foundation because they help to regulate everything else, including our trace minerals, toxic metals, hormones, and nervous system balance. And without knowing how the macro minerals are behaving, it's difficult to accurately interpret the rest of an HTMA test. These four minerals also play a big role in determining your oxidative rate, which refers to the speed of your metabolism, aka how fast or how slow your metabolism is running at the cellular level. Your oxidative rate is basically how efficiently and how well your body is able to produce energy. There are three main oxidative patterns on an HTMA test. The first is a slow oxidizer, which indicates a sluggish energy production or the burnout phase of exhaustion. A fast oxidizer, which means energy production is in overdrive, which is the fight or flight stage of stress. And then there's a mixed oxidizer, which is a more balanced energy production state. This is the optimal state, but it's also fairly rare due to the amount of stress most people are under. Now, there are many subtypes of a fast and slow oxidative rate, but let's get into some of the general examples of what the different oxidative rates might look like and feel like. So, starting with slow oxidation. So, in slow oxidation, the metabolism is having a hard time creating energy. This is basically the burnout phase of chronic stress. And the adrenals and thyroid function tend to be functioning very low. Calcium and magnesium levels may be high on the test, but that doesn't mean that you are necessarily absorbing them well. They're often biounavailable and building up in the tissues where they're causing problems because you can't utilize them. Common symptoms of someone experiencing a slow oxidative rate include fatigue, sugar cravings, low blood sugar, feelings of apathy or depression, constipation, thyroid symptoms, dry skin, brain fog, joint pain, weight gain in the hips and thighs, type 2 insomnia, postural hypotension, cold sensitivity, social withdrawal, ruminating negative thoughts, poor ability to sweat, low blood pressure, osteoarthritis, osteoporosis. It can also cause premature gray hair. This state can also correlate with fibromyalgia. By the time most of my clients come to work with me, they're usually well into the burnout and exhaustion phase of chronic stress. Their body is starting to break down. So this is a very common pattern that I see in the majority of my clients. Next is the fast oxidative state. So fast oxidation on an HTMA is basically the fight or fight state of stress. It's when the body is working in overdrive to keep up with the increased demand and increased stress load. Their thyroid and adrenals are pumping hard, working in overdrive. So sodium and potassium tend to be high, and calcium and magnesium tend to get depleted fast, leaving the body feeling wired but undernourished. Common symptoms of someone with a fast oxidation type might include anxiety, a type A personality, wired, irritable, aggressive, loose stools, oily skin and hair, a racing mind and racing thoughts, high blood pressure, increased belly fat, high blood sugar, feeling short tempered, maybe even violent tendencies, water retention, sweating very easily, panic attacks, feeling wound up, feeling emotionally sensitive, can also lead to osteoporosis and osteoarthritis. And this pattern tends to have a higher risk of heart attacks, due to the extreme magnesium deficiency it can create. And it can also correlate with ADD and ADHD type symptoms. I don't see a fast oxidative pattern as often as I see a slow oxidative pattern in my one-on-one clients, because usually in the fast oxidative state, it means that the body is still able to adapt to increase stress to a certain extent before their body has completely tanked into the slow oxidative burnout phase. But it does happen, and I do see it. And if you are in a fast oxidative state, it's a great opportunity to intervene and start slowing the body down and supporting it properly before you go into total burnout. So after hearing all of that, I'm curious, do any of these mineral imbalance patterns sound like you? Comment below to let me know if any of them resonate with you and what you are currently experiencing. So diving deeper into the markers on an HTMA test. When we look at an HTMA test, the individual mineral levels are helpful to look at, but perhaps even more important are the ratios between specific minerals. This is because mineral ratios are involved in regulating really important physiological, psychological, and metabolic functions such as blood sugar, blood pressure, thyroid and adrenal activity, especially under stress. For example, the calcium-potassium ratio is the thyroid ratio. And when calcium is too high and potassium is low, this can indicate slowed thyroid function, and too much potassium and too little calcium can indicate an overactive thyroid function. The sodium to magnesium ratio is the adrenal ratio, and a high ratio can indicate excessive adrenal output, and a low ratio can indicate adrenal insufficiency or adrenal exhaustion and burnout. The calcium to magnesium ratio is the blood sugar ratio, and a high ratio can indicate a tendency for low blood sugar, while a low ratio can indicate a tendency for high blood sugar. Other important ratios on the HTMA include the sodium-potassium ratio, which is the stress ratio, because sodium and potassium are essential for adrenal function. The zinc-copper ratio, which is the hormone balance ratio. The iron-copper ratio, which is the infection risk ratio. The copper molybdenum ratio, which is the chemical sensitivity ratio, and then the calcium phosphorus ratio, which is your overall metabolic rate and helps determine your oxidative rate. Because these ratios are so important, correcting the ratios alone can have a bigger impact than simply supporting individual nutrients. And because minerals play such a significant role in regulating so many important systems of the body, sometimes addressing minerals are more important and more effective than addressing the issue itself. For example, hypothyroid might be a mineral issue between calcium and potassium because the balance of those two minerals help regulate thyroid hormone uptake in the cells. And so a lot of practitioners will focus on thyroid hormones when sometimes the underlying issue is the mineral imbalances. And this is why minerals play such a critical role in the healing process. Another important marker on the HTMA test is heavy metals. So HTMA screens for toxic heavy metals like mercury, lead, aluminum, and arsenic. Too much heavy metals in the body can block enzymes, displace nutrients, and create oxidative stress. And it can lead to a lot of inflammation, hormone imbalances, brain fog, autoimmune issues, and more. Thus, heavy metal exposure can be a big contributor or even a root cause of mineral dysregulation inside the body. But evaluating and removing exposure to heavy metals is a really important piece of the mineral rebalancing process. So interpreting an HTMA test can be a little complicated because when we are interpreting an HTMA, we don't read the results at face value. Meaning you can't just look at a high or low number and assume a deficiency or excess. Rather, you have to look at the whole pattern and the person as a whole because every single mineral has an effect on every other mineral in the body. And imbalances or deficiencies in certain minerals can trigger a chain reaction of imbalances and deficiencies that result in illness, undernourishment, and toxic element accumulation if they're left unaddressed. This is because minerals do not work in isolation. They have synergistic and antagonistic relationships with each other. So it's not as simple as supplementing individual levels if you're low. For example, high magnesium might mean a deficiency in boron, or it might be a loss of magnesium, meaning that your body actually needs more magnesium because you're losing it due to stress. Again, minerals do not work in isolation. Everything is connected, which is why proper interpretation is key. A common question I get is, so why run an HTMA when you can just get a blood test from your doctor? The limitation with blood tests is that blood is homeostatic, meaning it has the ability to balance itself out and keep your blood looking normal by pulling minerals from your bones and tissues. This is one of the reasons why so many of my clients have normal blood tests from their doctors, despite still struggling with a long list of mysterious symptoms. And when we finally run an HTMA test on them, we often find deep mineral depletion and dysregulation happening at the cellular level. Hair also reflects what's going on inside the cells. And this is where energy is actually made, not in your blood. And an HTMA can show mineral imbalances months or even years before they show up in your blood work. And it is the deficiency within the cells that is related to most problems and chronic symptoms. And it's the reason why my clients finally start to see serious improvements in their energy levels, stress resiliency, mood, and overall metabolism once we start to correct their mineral imbalances. It's also why an HTMA test is one of the most powerful tools I use to help figure out what nutrients and minerals my clients actually need in order to start functioning like a normal person again. An HTMA test takes the guesswork out of supplementation and it helps us understand where to start when everything feels off. Rather than chasing symptoms, we can focus on the foundation by restoring energy production at the cellular level. Because of this unique ability, HTMA has the potential to save thousands of dollars in contrast to wasting time, energy, and money on trial and error methods like see how you feel if you take this and other band-aid supplement and medication methods. And these trial and error methods can be harmful, unsustainable, and leave you feeling helpless and frustrated. It's important to note that HTMA testing alone is not always enough to provide all of the answers needed to get to the root of complex health issues, especially if you have deep-rooted gut issues, which require a more direct look inside the gut. This is why I run a series of labs inside my one-on-one program, Gut Well, to get a full comprehensive picture of the metabolism and a deeper dive into the gut. So if you want to grab my free guide on the top 3 labs I use inside my one-on-one program, you can find the link in the description box below. Because of the role that minerals play in virtually every system of the body, and the insight that an HTMA test can provide as to how well your metabolism is functioning, an HTMA test is such a valuable and crucial test that I run on every single client. And if you want to explore your mineral status on a deeper level to understand how your mineral dysregulation might be contributing to your symptoms and metabolic dysregulation, and you want to get expert guidance on what your body truly needs, you can book my HTMA introductory package using the link in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and if you are interested in more root cause videos like this one, be sure to subscribe and follow along.